Hi, this is Bill Bronchick, and this video will describe how you should approach a condominium, townhome, or other similar investment. Now let's define what a condominium is versus what a townhome is. A condominium is a group legal ownership of one unit in a building, as well as the ownership of common areas within that building. So what you own is from the walls in. Sometimes you own the rights to a deck or other appurtenant type of things involved, such as a parking space, garage, storage locker, or something like that. And then what you own is the common ownership in the elements. Those are the stairways, the hallways, the grass outside, and so forth. So a condominium is a unique animal. It's a unique legal animal, and there is an association that manages the building and manages the common areas. Now, a townhome is really just a style. People think that a townhome is legally different than a condo, and really it isn't. Townhome usually refers to a situation where it's a side-by-side ownership, where there's no one above or below you. Townhome is just a style of condominium. So townhome, condominium are legally the same thing. You own from the walls in, you own common ownership in the common elements, and so forth. Now, what should you be looking for when you buy a condo or townhome? Well, the usual things you look for in a home. You got to make sure that the ARV is there, that you're buying it at an appropriate discount, that if you're buying it as a rental, cash flow. And then we want to look at very unique things about a condominium or townhome, and that is the association dues. What are the monthly association dues? What does that cover? Does that cover heat? Does it cover garbage? Does it cover water, sewer, maintenance? And what are you getting for your money? You also want to look at the financials of the association to make sure that they're solvent, because it is possible in a condo or townhome to get hit with an assessment, a special assessment of maybe $1,000, $2,000, I've seen as much as $20,000 assessment if some major project or major renovation or major emergency repair has to be done to the common elements, such as the roof, the parking lot, and so forth. So you want to look at the minutes of the meetings for the last year or so to see what's being planned. Look at the financials of the HOA association, and make sure that you know what you're getting for your money with the dues and what you're not getting. Usually, by the way, one of the things you have to watch out for is insurance. Insurance is usually included in your monthly dues, but that insurance only covers the building from the walls out. So if the building burns down, they'll rebuild the building and your unit, but if there's any damage to the interior of your unit, let's say you have a hot water heater in your unit and that busts and floods all over your unit and the unit below it, usually the association would not cover that with their insurance. You have to have a separate internal policy if you're owning it and living in it, a homeowner's type policy. If you're going to rent it out, then a landlord's type policy. And otherwise, that some kind of damage, as I just described, can come back to bite you. How do you think I know that? 2 times that happened to me, by the way. So I learned that one the hard way. You have to have a separate insurance policy for the interior of your unit. You also want to look at whether the unit itself is approved for financing. So if your plan is to buy it and finance it, or buy it with cash and fix it up and sell it to someone who's going to get financing, you've got to make sure that the association is approved for Fannie, Freddie, and or FHA. Usually if it's FHA approved, Fannie and Freddie usually approve it too, but you can't guarantee on that. At the very least, you want to do is go to HUD's website, HUD.gov, and look up to see whether the development is FHA or HUD approved, so that someone can get an FHA loan on the property. If it's not, then I would pretty much avoid it unless you're going to get seller financing and rent it forever, or you're buying it so cheap, you buy a condo for 15 grand and rent it for $500 a month, and really who cares, as long as the association dues are not going to kill you. So make sure it is approved, and what that's called is merchantability. Meaning, is it possible to put a loan on this property? If it's not, and usually it's because there's too many renters. If it's 80% renters and 20% owner-occupied, you can pretty much guarantee it's unmerchantable. So take a look at those numbers, and the association can help you out with how many are owner-occupied versus how many are rented. You also want to make sure that the building is sound, that there aren't any major problems with the roof, the foundation, and I don't know if it makes sense to pay an inspector to inspect the whole building, but take a walk around, see what it looks like, because this also affects the other issue of whether or not you're going to have roof leaks into your unit. And whether or not the association is solvent enough to fix those things or replace the roof without an assessment on all the owners. You want to look at the history of the development and what repairs have been done in the past, what assessments have been had. You may want to look up with the state, like in my state in Colorado, there's a registration with the state of homeowners associations and how many complaints they've had. You can look those things up publicly if that is registered within your state and see what kind of complaints the management has had. The very least, you want to make sure that you know who is running the management of the HOA. Is it two of the unit owners who live there? It tends to be pretty amateurish, and you may get someone who's just really not nice and difficult to deal with. Or is it run by a professional management company, and is that a licensed management company that's licensed and bonded? Is there a managing broker, real estate broker, or someone like that who's running that management company? And those are some of the issues that you want to look at with a condominium. The last issue that I forgot to mention was the neighbors. Who are your neighbors next door, above, below? Are they smokers? Are they loud? Do they have barking dogs? Do they even allow dogs? And oh yeah, one more thing. Read the association bylaws and rules. It may not even allow you to rent it out without the permission of the association, or they may not allow dogs, or they may not allow a certain number of people. Just make sure you know what the rules are, especially if you plan on renting the condominium unit out to other people. This is Bill Bronchick, and I hope you've enjoyed this video on what to look for in condominiums and townhomes.